Thank you for tuning in to the BIRNN Community Chronicles, the Blue Island and Robbins Neighborhood Network. This is a show about you. We bring together community members, leaders, and organizations to drive the change you want to see in Blue Island and Robbins. Now, here's your host, Program Manager for the BIRNN, Ken Benson.
Good evening. Welcome to the BIRNN Chronicles radio show of the Blue Island Robbins Neighborhood Network. We are here to share with our listening audience, our viewing audience, the work that's being done in the Southland, Chicagoland area, but specifically in the Blue Island and Robbins communities. I'm Ken Benson. I am our program manager for the Blue Island Robbins Neighborhood Network and our host of the BIRNN Chronicles. Today, we have some great folks from Sisters Working It Out, an organization that has done a lot of service in our community with a lot of our community members. We have the executive director, Ms. Beulah Brent, and we have one of the great new volunteers to the organization, and we're just going to call you Miss Jade. Is that fine with that?
That's
wonderful,
okay.
Wonderful. So this is a conversation that we have with our partners so that our listening audience this evening can get a chance to know more about the organization, what as a volunteer brought you to the organization, as the executive director, what keeps you going, what gets you out of the bed every day, the partners that you work with, a little bit more about the organization. And so the first thing I want to do is just ask you, Ms. Beulah, to tell us a little bit about Sisters Working It Out. Give us some background, when it started, how you got to where you are, if you can talk about the name and how you came up with that, and just all of the work that you've put into the beginning stages of Sisters Working It Out.
Well, first of all, thank you, Ken, for inviting us. And that's my favorite topic to talk about what it is that we do in the community.
All right.
So we actually was started in 2001 by Dr. Monica Peak.
Okay.
She was an intern from Knoxville, and she got her internship at Rush Presbyterian. And I, at the time, was a manager at the Stroger Hospital in the mammography department.
Okay.
And so we saw the disparity in our community for women of color to be able to get their mammograms. And at that time, it was like 62% in disparity for Black women to get, or women of colors to get their mammograms. So when she brought her team over, so we joined together to kind of figure out what was the problem in the community. And it was a lack of education that we found out. So what we started to do is tap into other organizations that was something like us. So we actually had 21 organizations that came together that we would meet at my location at Stroger Hospital. So we would meet at least twice a month to kind of talk about the disparity. And at that time, we had a mobile van.
Okay.
So we would take those mobile vans and we would go into the project. At that time, they had projects.
Okay.
So we was able to, for women who was afraid to come out or didn't want to come out or the discomfort of leaving their homes, we actually took the van to the community.
Wonderful.
To make sure that we was able to get that service. Unfortunately, we had 13,000 women that needed mammograms, right?
Wow.
And we was only able to do 20 a day.
Okay.
And mainly because we were short on a mammographer or a doctor to actually run that clinic. So through that, and because we bought in the other 21 clinics organization, that's how we came up with the name Sisters Working It Out.
Okay.
Because all the organization was involved was ran by women.
Okay.
And women of color.
Okay. Wow, wonderful. I will say that as the Blue Island Robbins Neighborhood Network, the way that we connected with Sisters Working It Out is that I heard about Miss Beulah doing some work in community, and unfortunately, COVID came upon us really quickly, and we were looking for organizations who were in the community who were still working during COVID, and a lot of people had gone to work from home. Unfortunately, a lot of organizations shut down because they just couldn't afford to continue to move forward. And we were getting all of these in-kind donations of masks and hand sanitizer and all kinds of things that we were getting from the county and some of our other partners. And we were looking for partners who were out in the community to be able to give this stuff out. And I got connected. Actually, I stalked Miss Beulah to get connected to her just to find out, like, hey, you're doing this stuff in community. You are in the communities in which we service. Would you mind, helping us to get the material out? And of course, you said yes. And from then we've had this great partnership. But I always tell people that when everybody else stopped working during COVID, Sisters Working It Out was still there, passing out material. And we didn't even know what COVID was at that time. So,
Right.
we didn't know how it would affect us. But your organization, your volunteers, you, Ms. Bueller, personally just kept going. And so we're always so appreciative of that. We really wish we had more partners who, worked in that vein. But I'm glad that you were, and you blessed so many people in community by what you were able to do. And so you always do that now. So I'm so happy to know that. So the one thing that you do that I find so impressive is that you have a gala for women who have dealt with cancer. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I really want you to tell our listening audience when that happens, how they can support that, what that gala is all about. When I first heard about it, it really brought tears to my eyes, because I'm like, I think sometimes women go through those things silently. They suffer in silence, and not many know that there is help out there for them. So let me know, how, tell our listening audience more about that event that you put on, when it happens, how people can support. Before we log off tonight, I definitely want you to give people your contact information, any of your social media, your website, any place that you operate. We want to make sure that people know how they can come and volunteer, how they can come and support, whether it be, elbow grease or whether it be financially. But definitely, take your time and tell us about the gala, because it's such a wonderful thing. I call it a gala. I'm not sure if that's what you call it, but it just seems like that to me. So it's such a grand thing to do. But tell our listening audience about that.
Well, it sounds like you don't want me to shut up.
So right ahead.
I
That's
can
why
go
we're
on
here.
all
That's why
night when
we're
we
here.
talk about the Day of Beauty. Actually, it's called the Day of Beauty.
Day of Beauty.
And
Okay.
how we came up with the Day of Beauty during COVID, we had patients, unfortunately, younger patients, younger than 40, was being diagnosed with breast cancer. So one of the things we focused on was, what was it like to serve women, young ladies that was too young to get mammogram? How do we make that things happen for them? And I had a young lady who, I think she was diagnosed at 35, and she had two children. And basically, I got connected with her through an event that we had at Stroger Hospital. And she told me her story, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, she's too young for us to know what to do with her. So it was a learning process to kind of figure out not only how to deal with women over 40 that was getting mammogram, it was how do we actually cater to young women that were younger than 40 that was too young to get a mammogram.
Okay.
So I think during the season, she had a meltdown at one of her chemo sessions, and she called me and she said, I'm cold. I don't have a mask. My feet are cold, and I'm not getting what I need in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And and she couldn't stop crying. Well, luckily for me, because I worked at Stroger, I knew people's in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I would call and I said, hey, we have a patient in this area who's in for chemo. These are the things that they don't have. She doesn't have. So they made sure she got all the things that she needs. But then it had me to think, when I started talking to the young women, they wanted to know what it was going to be like, because they were losing their breast and they was married, or if they wanted a boyfriend, a husband, and that portion of their body was no longer there. Mm. Then they would talk about what they looked like, what they felt like. And I felt unattractive. I don't feel beautiful, and I don't have any hair. So I started thinking about what would it do? What can we do to make them feel better about themselves? And that's how the Day of Beauty was born. It's basically just looking at them, say, so what we start to do is reach out to cosmetologists, to schools, or people in the community that have businesses like your barbershop, your beauty shops, your makeup artists. How is it that we can come together and volunteer? We do use volunteers in this because we're a small grassroots organization. So we do not have the funds to support what it is that we do. But once we tell our story, we bring people. I think this is our eighth or ninth year that we'll be doing our Day of Beauty, which is always on November the second Saturday of November.
Okay.
So this year is going to be November the 9th at the Timothy Community Center. And that's actually located in the city at 4351 South Drexel Boulevard. Okay. And what we tried to do is to go to meet the women where they are. And sometimes the underserved community are the ones that we realize are having a hard time dealing with their diagnosis.
Absolutely.
Or doesn't know much about their diagnosis. So we kind of bring them together, have professionals there to talk about what it is they're going through. So we have doctors from Northwestern, University of Chicago, UIC, Providence. All these people come together just to educate the audience on the importance of early screening, whether it's breast cancer or, and I know we talk a lot about what we do for women, but we also do it for men, because
Wonderful. Good
whether
to know.
people don't know or not, men are diagnosed with breast cancer
Absolutely,
as well.
absolutely.
So not only are we doing breast cancer, we talk to we ask the women to remind your husband, your brother, your son, to make sure they get their PSAs, right? That's the prostate testing. And we talking about colon cancer, and we talk about mammogram. Husband reminds your wives once a year to go get that mammogram.
Absolutely.
So what we do is trying to bring them together to know, to give them that education, but also while they're there, look good, feel better. So what we do is just let them have fun. They get these massages, and they get to eat, they get to communicate. And you know what? We put them in groups to basically talk about what it is that they're going through and get that help that they need. So we are so excited every year about our Day of Beauty. Even though I love what it is that we do, Day of Beauty is the thing that keep me going.
Wonderful. And again, give us the date when this is happening. You said
again, this is going to be November the 9th.
Okay.
We're going to be there from 10 to 2.
Okay.
So we want you all to come on out, and it's free. That's the best thing.
Free.
It's free.
So how do you get the women connected? How do you choose the women who will be, be participants in the Day of Beauty? Like, do you choose certain women? How do you choose the women who will actually take part in the Day of Beauty?
So we actually we do social media. Okay. So we do churches, social media, hospitals. We send out flyers to say tell the community. So it's open to anyone who wants to join. We have a support group.
Okay.
We have other partners that we work with, like the American Cancer Society, Susan G. Coleman. And then because of our relationship with the University of Chicago, Northwestern, Roseland, Ingalls, all these hospitals or clinics, Access Community Health Network, like the BIRNN, like right. Metropolitan. Right. We actually just reach out to our partners and say, hey, if you know anybody that need our services. Not only are we doing a cancer patient, so we do all cancer patients, not just breast cancer, right?
Wonderful.
So not only that, what we're finding out is the caregiver goes through just as much as the patient. So what is it that we can give to the care patient that's actually taking care of that family member or that friend or that wife or that husband? So it's open to the public. So we just that's how we announce what it is that we're doing.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Ms. Jade, I was told before we got started that you're a graduate student and you've come to volunteer with Sisters Working It Out. So, and I know that you've only been involved working with them for a couple of weeks now. So in your research to decide what organization you would work with, because I know graduate students have many choices of what they could do, where they could do it. How did you choose Sisters Working It Out? What was so attractive about them to you?
I was originally looking for an organization with women that looked like me. I have 2 family members. Well, one family member, my grandmother, she had breast cancer twice, and she ended up having a mastectomy on her right side.
Okay.
And then my best friend's mom, she ended up having a double mastectomy. And I felt like a lot of the time their physicians or other healthcare professionals didn't give them all the information that they needed regarding after effects, side effects, things to see down the line. And so I just wanted to go with an organization that, like I said, people that look like me. And I just feel like a lot of Black women need the awareness, the information, and things like that.
Absolutely. So in your 2 weeks so far, tell me some of your experiences. Have you had any experiences? Have you had a chance to work with some of the women? Or I know you've had a chance to work with some of Ms. Beulah's wonderful staff. So, tell us about your experience thus far.
I would say so far the highlight of my last few weeks, I was able to attend the Black Women's Expo for the very first time. I've wanted to go for years, but through the organization, I was able to go with her. And it was a really nice experience. I was able to learn a little bit more about the mastectomy situation and a lot about breast health and things like that. So educating women on how to look for certain things or abnormalities in their breast. And also just make sure that they're aware about their mammograms, their different appointments, and where they're going to see the physician. I actually got to see a lot, and I heard her educate a lot of women on it too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I definitely wanted to make sure that you put it out there. So if there are other graduate students that want to come out and find a great organization to work with, Sisters Working It Out is definitely the place to come. Now, the one thing that I did want to touch on, Ms. Beulah, is that, we know dealing with cancer is a process, but it's also so many different factors involved in, research and funding for that. And so as an organization, what does Sisters Working It Out do to kind of help work towards policy change or systems changes so that people will understand the importance of research and giving to a cause like cancer as a whole?
So thank you. That's an awesome question. So I'm still looking for a lot of those answers as well.
All right.
But what we do is partner with I think because of the work that we do, a lot of the attention that we get comes from organizations like yourself, Ken. You
Okay.
see the work that we do, and basically it's because of the work we do. You believe in what it is that we do. We have organization like you. PAF is an organization, it's a national wide organization that we actually tap into. And we've been very fortunate. The vice president actually started to come in to see some of the work we do. And she has connected us to some of the major donors that actually look at the work we do and say, hey, I kind of like what it is that you all doing. Let's see what we can do, like Pfizer, like Gilead. So they kind of look at the work that we do, even United Way, looking at the work that we do and saying, how is it that we can be a part of what it is that you all are doing? So we, I always said we have to have proof that we're doing what we said we do.
Right.
But I think with us, it's not a job. Let me speak for me.
Right.
So let me get a little bit personal. It's more of why do we do what we do? Is because we and how do we look for the support to do what we do? It's because of the passion that we have. Like you just said, the major thing about it is we can actually, we sign women up to get free mammograms. So
Right.
for those women out there that does not have insurance that need those mammograms, we actually work with the University of Chicago, Northwestern,
Wonderful.
that
Right,
basically give us those spots for free.
Wonderful.
Right. So once we do that, what we found out is it was so easy to get the spots. Right? It wasn't easy. It was hard to get the spot, but now it's easy to get the women's in. The problem comes with it is there's so many other social determinants of health that kind of determine whether you're going to go get that mammogram.
Right.
You know what? I want to go get that mammogram, but I don't have transportation to get that mammogram.
Right.
Or I need that mammogram, but I don't have a babysitter to get that mammogram.
Right.
So we basically told our story to Uber, and we've been able to get free transportation for our services. So now you don't really have an excuse of saying why you can't go get your mammogram. So we tried to come up with barriers to remove those barriers to stop the women from saying, I don't have a way. You find a family member to keep your baby or to keep your children.
All right.
We actually pay them to do that.
Wow.
Now you really can't say you can't.
That's so enough. That's right. That's true. That's true.
So it's so important that we find funds like that to be able to continue to do the service, to give the service that we're giving, because we do food insecurity. It's a huge one as well. Do I use my money to get a cab or catch the bus and go get that mammogram, or do I use my money to actually buy food for myself and my children?
That's right.
So we also have connection where we actually have a partner who will actually go grocery shopping for you on a personal, opposed to using Uber Eats. I don't know much about Uber Eats, but yet and still, we have partners to say we're actually pick up the grocery for the client.
Wow.
So it's looking for those services that you want. Those resources are so important in order. And another one of our great partners that we just started to partner with this year is Pickles. And that's an organization, actually, as we deal with the parents that's going through, Pickles deal with the children.
Wow. Okay.
And so they offer those services to the children virtually. And for the holidays, they do some amazing things. It's almost like a Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Wow. Okay.
So it's really good to be able to reach out to the children that's actually going through, to help them to understand the process.
Wonderful. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's close to my heart, and my godson, in a sense, just was from birth, has been dealing with with cancer. And so Shriners, they were actually at the hospital, and Shriners took care of everything. His mom didn't have to take care of, didn't have to pay for anything. Everything was taken care of. He is cancer free now, so he got to ring the bell and have the celebration. But it just says to me that there are so many organizations out there that we can donate to, that we can volunteer for. And so I've always been told never ask a woman about her age, but I figure I'm probably the oldest person sitting here today on this show.
I have to tell you, you're wrong.
Okay, well, I may be. But Jade, I will say that maybe you may be a little younger than I. And so as we talk about barriers, so listening to Ms. Bueller talk about some of the other barriers, but from your perspective, having young women who may say to themselves, I'm young, I'm healthy, I don't have to go get a mammogram, I don't have to go and do these various checkups. What would you say that would encourage younger women, that 40 and under age range, to say, look, self-care is truly important, and some advice that you would be able to give to say, look, you need to go and take care of things, and so that you can catch it before it becomes an even huger issue?
I would say it's still important to do it. Even though you feel healthy, I feel healthy. But I also know that because my grandmother had breast cancer, it runs in my family now. And so a lot of women, they don't know about the family history when it comes to breast cancer or any illnesses such as cancer. And I just feel like with sisters working it out, I did learn that there are ways to check on your own, even if you don't go to a physician every month, or if you can't get into the doctor's office every month, you can do self-checks. So I just feel like even though we are young and there are women that are under 40 that feel like that they shouldn't have to go do it, or they just feel good that they, I still think that it's important because you just never know.
No, I think that's important. I want everybody listening and watching to know that self-care is important. Sisters Working It Out exists because there's an issue that we need to deal with as a community, especially a community of color. So, Ms. Bueller, I know you have a gala, and this time I know it's a gala.
It's a real gala.
A real gala that's coming up. So can you tell our listening audience, tell our viewers about the gala, what it's about, just give us the whole lowdown and spiel of when it will be and how people can get involved, how people can donate, if they want to get tickets, how can they reach out and participate in this wonderful event that's coming up?
Well, we don't want to say if they want some tickets. We're going to tell them.
All right. Get those tickets, right?
So we do yearly. We have our gala. We try to find ways to raise funds, and mainly because we do our transportation. Is the most important part of what we do, because the need is so high in transportation and in food. So we are actually having our annual gala. It's going to be Saturday, September the 28th at 6 o'clock. It's going to be at the Oak Lawn Hilton in Oak Lawn, Illinois.
Okay.
And while Ken is basically talking about the gala, one of the things we want to do is highlight what it is that our partners do. I love to be able to say, a lot of organizations or pharmaceutical company wants to know about your relationship in the community. Absolutely. How is it that you work? What is your collaboration? What do you do? How do you get along? What makes it work? And so we are actually going to be honoring some of our partners as well as some of our survivors, such as, we have CHW actually that runs the organization, and navigators. So we are honoring one of our navigators at this event. We also have advocates and survivors. We're going to honor her as well. And then Ken. Yes, Ken is being honored at this event. So, if nothing else, get your ticket just to come and see the man of God.
That's right.
Because I have to tell you, Ken has been truly what you call one of those true partnership type of man. And you know what God said, give honor where honor is due.
Thank you. I believe that.
And I believe when I got here, Ken said, well, I don't know how I got it or how I'm going to be there. But you know what? You never know who life you're touching.
It's true.
And to be able to see the genuine in your relationship, Ken, I have to tell you, when God put you on my heart, I said, God, give me the people that you think that we should be honoring. And so it's not just so much of saying, because I like you so much, I'm going to give you this award, right?
Right.
You actually, people have to understand, it's not just because I like you or I'm around you that I feel that you should have an award. It's the people who goes out of their way, who show you that I believe in you. I'm looking out, not just for you, but because I know the work you do. So that means that when I look at the work that we do with you, it's genuine. It's
I
not
agree.
because it's I'm your friend or you're my friend. It's a genuine relationship, and I appreciate it. Even when you don't answer my emails, I'm okay with you.
You know, you stay on me about that, but
But we also have a partner that Northwestern is another partner that has been amazing in the work that we're doing. Actually showing us the way of getting people in to get those mammograms. They're driving us to actually get out in the community to make sure the women that doesn't have insurance, and even if they have insurance, what is it that we can do to navigate you through the system to get your mammogram? And then our speaker, who's actually out of our guest speaker in the that's going to receive the presidential award, she's actually the founder and the CEO of Touch, and Touch is the only Black genetic counseling in clinical trials. I'm so sorry. Touch is the Black clinical trial, and it's the only Black clinical trial in the United States. So basically, what they talk about is how do we enroll women of color in clinical trials. So we've been partnering with them for the last 3-4 years, and she has been just so amazing in making sure that we know the importance of being a part of clinical trial. So we always say sometimes when we go to the doctor, they're using certain words. Let's try this. You know why they're saying let's try it? Because we're not part of clinical trials. So I thought because of what it is that she does in the community, she would be the absolutely person to come in to give us more information, and mainly because we have issues with trust in our community.
That's right. That's
It,
right.
it's always good to put up somebody who look like you.
This is true.
Right.
So
So
true.
we're so blessed to have Miss Ricky Farley coming in all the way from Maryland
Wow.
to be our guest speakers for this event. So Ken, we honor you, and we honor all the other recipients or the awardees that we're going to honor on that night. So again, we want you to come out and support what it is that we do. Let's have some fun. It's going to be a Midwest Western style.
All
so you can
right,
come
all
up like
right.
a cowgirl, cowboy, and let's have some fun.
All
So
right.
that's what we're going to be doing at the annual gala.
Well, I tell Ms. Beulah all the time, my award and my reward is the relationship that we have. I know that if I need something, that you'll be there. I know if you can help somebody, that I can send them your way and you will give them help. That's the greatest reward. Now, I accept the award now, and I'll be there and encourage other folks to come as well. But let the people know how they can, they can get tickets or where they can come sign up. Are you looking for folks to volunteer that day? What kind of help do you need? And definitely give out some information on where people can go to get tickets for this gala.
Well, so for this particular event, we just want you to relax. So we don't need volunteers for this event. We do have our committee that actually put this together. So you can actually go to our website at www.sistersworkingitout.org.
Okay.
And you will see the events there. It will be the first thing that will pop up. All you have to do is do your QR code.
Okay.
And it will take you right to our site so you can register and get your ticket. So you can get your ticket, you can get your friend ticket,
All right,
get your husband tickets.
all right.
So get as many tickets as you want. We really want this to be an excitement because what we want to do is expand our transportation services. So we want you to come out and have fun. We work really hard during the year. So we just kind of want people to come out and have fun.
Sounds good. Give that website again that they can go and get the tickets and their sister's ticket and their friend's ticket.
Everybody get your
Right,
mama ticket, your dad's ticket. So you can go to www.sistersworkingitout.org.
All right. Sistersworkingitout.org. I do want to ask a question. This is for either you, Ms. Beulah, or Jay. I think as people have listened to us this evening, they've heard us put an emphasis, or heard you put an emphasis on women of color, people of color. And I just get, giving it a bit of an explanation, because cancer touches everyone of all walks of life. And I think you may have touched a little bit on it, Ms. Beulah, about why your focus is there. But I just want the listeners to understand why there's an emphasis on people of color when we deal with, with cancer and something like this. So it's for either one of you just to jump in. You both can jump in. I would love to get your perspective both on why it's so important as communities of color that we really pay attention to ourselves, especially when it comes to something like cancer. So
I'd like for Jade to go first.
Okay.
Mainly because Jade is actually a doctoral student.
Okay.
So
Wonderful.
that's what makes it so good to say, for somebody to be so young. So when I got the interview for her to join us, it was more like, I want to see somebody that looked like me. So I'm more curious. Like you said, I kind of touched on it. I'm more curious on why she's focusing.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So for me, as she already stated, I'm graduating with my doctorate in December.
Wonderful.
And
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
So my campus is based in Dallas, Texas, but I'm born and raised here. So I just moved back here permanently. So for me, it's a bit more personal because, as I stated earlier, my grandmother had breast cancer twice. And so the second time she ended up getting a mastectomy, like I stated. And I remember being at school down in Dallas, and I would call her every now and then just to check in on her. And I remember one day I got out of class and she called me and I asked how she was feeling, how was everything going? And she said that she was having pain or like sharp pains like on the right side of her body where the mastectomy was. And I was curious. I'm like, where's this pain coming from? Or, why is this happening? Because this was maybe about 2 or 3 years down the line from the mastectomy. And she said, well, I don't know what's going on. She said, I went to Google, Dr. Google. And she said that, right. And so she said that she looked something up and it said that she possibly has post-mastectomy pain syndrome. And I said, I've never heard of that. And she didn't hear about it either. I said, so did your doctor tell you about it or anybody that was around you during the time of the mastectomy? And she said, no. So then she made a doctor's appointment with her PCP, her primary care physician. And she told her like, yeah, I'm diagnosing you with PMPS. And I said, well, that's interesting. Nobody ever told you about it. And then, as I stated as well, my best friend's mom, she got married and she invited me to the wedding. And I flew out to Des Moines, Iowa, because that's where they're from.
Okay.
And so she got married in around October, maybe about 2 years ago. 2 hours before the wedding, we were back in the bridal suite. And as I stated before, she had a double mastectomy. She had a seizure right before the wedding. And so she's had more than one ever since then. And I just said, I know they didn't talk to her about that. So for me, it's more personal because I feel like women that look like us just don't get some of the resources. They don't get the same information as other people do. And it's bothersome. So with my capstone project, that's towards the end of my term for school, we had to talk about something or research or create a program for something that we're passionate about.
Right.
And for me, breast cancer and just information that Black women need, I feel like is very important to me. So for the organization, I'm collecting some information from some of the members, other Black women that are survivors or patients. I just want to kind of get a feel of what they wish they knew, what they would tell other women, and just different tips and things so I can compile it into a program while I'm making a website for them actually.
Wonderful.
So I'm just compiling all the information together so I can give it to them and just so I can help anybody that's a current patient.
Wonderful. And so at the end of, so how long is your time with Sisters Working It Out?
Oh, I'll be with them even after I graduate.
All right.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So up until graduation, what would you like to see? What would you like to have accomplished? What would you, what are some of the goals that you're setting for yourself up until the time that you graduate?
I feel like I just wanted to get a lot of information, and I have a lot of information already from the surveys that I gave out.
Okay.
I just want to give people more information. As I stated, I just want to help any way I can. I told her, even when I joined this organization, yes, I am with my school, but whatever you need me to do, wherever you need me to be, I will be there because I just want to bring awareness. I just want to make sure that everybody has the resources and information that they need.
Wow. And Ms. Beulah, I have to just say to you that from Sheila Harm and the other folks that I know, Cynthia Williams and people that work with you, it's amazing that they say, we were introduced, but now we are members for life. We are partners for life. So that shows that you are really doing something that people can leave and go to other places, but they commit to saying, I'm going to stay here. There's something that's happening here that is so wonderful that we want to continue to even go beyond what we're actually here to volunteer to do, to find other ways to help the organization. And so that just brings to me, you mentioned it earlier about partnerships. And so you mentioned some of the larger organizations, but there are smaller organizations within our communities that have the ability and the opportunity to help and to work along with Sisters Working It Out. Can you tell us, share with our listeners and some of those potential partners, ways that they can partner, how they can reach out, things that they may not even know that they're doing that could be very helpful to the work that you are doing in community?
So I do want to go back and say, even though we do focus on Black women or women of color, our education is basically we'll go anywhere in any community.
All right.
But the focus mainly is on women of color, is because, as Jada said earlier, their information as we work with our doctors or our community that they don't know about. So I hear a lot of people in our community to say, well, I didn't even know we had that in our community,
Mhm.
or nobody ever told us that was in our community. So one of the reason we reach out to our partners is because we hear that a lot. And one of the things that we do, we're working with our partners like your FQACs that we talk about, and housing, and we also work with CETA, right? Because one of the things we find out is another issue is, once you're diagnosed with certain disease, you can't work. So,
Right.
and we always talking about finding ways to how are we going to help keep your lights on, your gas on, your rent paid, your mortgage paid. So we even work with banks or triage cancer organization that actually bring these resources to help you to get yourself together. And going back to questions like, how do you get the young people's involved? I teach my kids, they're both grown, but I teach them now to say, always have a 3 months or 6 months emergency fund,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So the thing about it is, if we're out for 3 months or we're out for 6 months, can we survive? Can we pay those bills? So being able to bring all these organizations to the table, all these resources to the table, it's not just sisters working it out. It's here to get your mammogram. But once we know you're diagnosed, then you're going to need that mental. Anybody who tell us they got a good mental program, we're going to tap into that program
right.
to try to make sure that they're going to get the care that they need to walk them through that journey.
Right.
Help them to accept what it is that they're going through, because we have to go through the journey, right?
Absolutely.
But so the thing about it is, we're there now. What do we do? So you bring in your partners, you bring in the family Christians, you bring in the metropolitans, you bring in the access, you bring on the in his hands resources, people who has this wraparound services, right? So having your partners that bring in resources, you don't have to be the one to have the service. All
That's
you
right.
need to do is to be able to reach out and touch your friend and say, hey, I'm putting this event on. I need you and your service there. And that's how it happens. It's, somebody say, Miss Buell, how do you get, I think we did an event not long ago, the June in Blue Island. And people wanted to know, how did you get all these vendors at your event? How
Mhm.
is it that you made this possible? And it's a relationship.
Absolutely.
Right. So the
Absolutely.
thing about it is, yes, we get so many invitations to go to events, but my whole thing is, my obligation is to the peoples that actually have the resources that we need.
Right.
And I need to get in there to make sure whatever it is that you need. Why? Because I have a partnership with you. I have a friendship with you.
Absolutely.
So I want to
Absolutely.
be there to make sure that your event goes over well.
Absolutely.
So, and I say, if anybody wants to have that partnership, start off by, if you want friends, show yourself friendly,
That's
right?
right. That's
So I
right.
want to say, because people say, you tell Beulah something, be careful what you say to Beulah, because then she ain't gonna let you go. Well, I always tell people, all right, I'm from the South, and that's, many of y'all can tell by my voice, but I'm from the South. And one of the things my mom and dad taught us is, your word is your bond.
That's right.
We didn't have credit cards. Didn't even know what credit cards was, right? You go to the store, you said, my mom and dad want this, right? So you did it. So I wanted to say, my words is my bond.
Right.
If I say, can't, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. But if you can't, it's also that communication part.
Right. Right.
So I think the most important part is the communication. When I can't do something, let your partner know you can't do it.
Right.
So you form those relationships with, and like you said, Ken, you could drop these names and who and what it is that they do, but they really have some good resources. Even Rose on Ceasefire, one of the things we even did with them, we understand that some of the seniors that we talked to in Dalton, we'll talk about I want to go out and get to my doctor's appointment, but I'm too scared to go through the community.
Right.
You know, in the city, you know, I can get to my doctor's appointment, but I got to go through this neighborhood to get to my doctor's appointment.
Right.
So you're looking for resources. That's how we came up with transportation to say, you know what, we're gonna have the Uber to pick you up at your front door. Right. And we don't want you on the bus. So we're going to make sure. So being able to leverage those relationships. And I always say, you know, I've been married 33 years. I've been in my same church for 37 years. Right. Oh God, I'm telling my age, but that's okay. But the whole point is, I believe once I connect with you, I'm your partner for life.
All right.
I'm your partner for life. So that's what we call true partnership, and being truthful in what you're doing. What I can't do, I expect you to do.
Wonderful. And I think you answered my question with that if you want to partner, there are ways to bring services that Sisters Working It Out may not be able to provide that you are providing. And so it's a great partnership to be able to bring some of those services. We're all trying to reach people. And so we want to make sure we reach as many people as we can. And so before we got a little bit more time left, but before we finish for this evening, I want you to definitely give out any social media pages, any ways of contact where people can go and find out more about the organization. So either you or Jay, either one, just throw it out there. Telephone numbers of contact. We want to make sure that our listeners this evening know how to get in touch and to start this relationship with Sisters Working It Out.
Okay, so if you want to reach us by phone, you can reach us at 708-932-9761. You can reach us by email at info@sistersworkingitout.org, or you can go to our website at www.sistersworkingitout.org, or you can go to our Facebook, SWIO Chicago, and that's the handle for our website. I mean, for our Facebook, our Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So you can find us at on all of these main media sites, and we'll be happy to have someone to reach out. And again, we're looking for volunteers, so we can't reach out and touch you. Reach out and touch us.
All right, that's right. So Jade, I want to just go back again because I was just thinking about what you said as a doctoral student that you know, this was something that you did research, and out of all the organizations, you chose Sisters Working It Out. So for other students, again, that are out there and they're looking to, you know, to come and do some sort of internship or work with an organization, can you tell us a little bit more about your process and how you were looking, you know, to decide on what organization you would choose? Because I know you just didn't take a pen and throw it at the wall and it stuck and that was the one. So, you know, what was your process? Because I want other students who are listening to know that there is a process, and maybe you can give them some advice on how to actually have a real process in picking the place that they would go to volunteer or have an internship.
So for me personally, I just wanted a certain type of group. So just being honest, like I said, people that look like me or women of color. So for my project, we had to kind of go and fish out different organizations or medical facilities to do our research or our program development for.
Okay.
And so I knew I wanted to do breast cancer. I went to Google, typed in breast cancer Chicago.
All right.
So of course, Susan G. Komen popped up. A lot of different organizations popped up. Equal Hope. I know. I looked and I saw Sisters Working It Out, and I said, "Oh, that looks like the one."
Okay.
And it resonated with me because, and I just want to say that this has been a blessing, and I want to thank God for all of this because I said when I start, I want to be with people that look like me. And boom, it was the third the third link on the Google page.
All right.
Click on it, and that was just that.
Wonderful.
And so then I reached out through email, and then I just ended up calling her to see if she had any availability to talk with me. And I explained to her what I wanted to do, and she was very accommodating.
Wonderful. And for students and volunteers who are listening, and I don't really do this often, I don't really try to lead people where to volunteer, but I will tell you that Sisters Working It Out is a place where I think people can go and feel welcome and feel that you're around a lot of people who understand you and will take you and help you to develop your talents and show you how you can use your talents to really benefit the community. So Ms. Beulah, we still got a little bit more time, but I just want you to talk about ways that we talked about volunteers. So now I want you to talk about, you talked about how, there's some financial things that need to happen. And so if you can make a pitch to folks now who are listening, like, we need your money. None of this is done free, so we need your money. So I want you to use this opportunity to make that pitch, to let people know, yes, we do some wonderful things. We have some great, wonderful partners, but the most important thing is that we need funding. So let people know, the kind of funding that you need, how they can reach out to you, and how you need to fund some of these things that are happening. Here's your pitch to that funder that is listening tonight to say, look, we need your money.
That is so funny. And you know what? That's my weakest part about this organization. So I feel like Ken just put me on the spot, right? But that is one of the things that I'm learning through the programs that we actually work with, especially with United Way. They actually connected us with DePaul University through their management class to actually kind of teach you how to apply what it is that you have. And one of the things is fundraising. So the thing is, I love to talk about fundraising, but it's also trying to be in a position to know how to become comfortable with asking for money.
That's
right?
right.
So so my pitch here today is this. We have been serving the women's for over 22 years, and we're finding out the struggle, especially for grassroots peoples of color organization, is really hard to, have you ever, you say you've been in an organization for 22 years and someone actually of a different race will actually open up an organization in less than a year, and they have more money than you can ever dreamed of in the year that they've been open. So you want to know, what is it that they do that I don't do?
Right.
How is it that we are in a position to actually advocate for philanthropy, to actually support what it is that we do?
Right.
How is it that we get those yearly support of a donation to say, I believe in what it is that you're doing, and we want to be a part of that. So we'll say no donation is too small. So we do ask, that you to go to our website. There's a donation button there. All you have to do is actually just hit that button, click that button, and donate. So so we ask you to, matter of fact, we ask you to do that. Stop right now and do that.
All right. Stop right now and donate.
Right now.
That's
and
right.
donate.
That's
So
right.
know that your money is again, one of the things I didn't say, for 18 years we did this work for free. That's how you know that God had a passion. I had a passion for what it is, and I actually quit my job to do this. And I had a daughter in college to say, God, how am I going to do this with a daughter in college, a son who was, trying to find his way. But I had a husband who believed in what it is that we was doing. So one of the things we do, and one of the things I don't want to close out without saying is, he said, he being the God that I serve says, acknowledge him in all thy ways and he'll direct your path.
That's right.
So I acknowledge God to say, God, I know that you called me to do this, but how is it that I'm going to do this when there's no income to come in, when you have been the one who's been taking care of those income? But when I tell you, God has truly opened up those doors, and I'm like Kamala Harris right now, we ain't going back.
All right.
So we're not going back. So we need you to consider donating to Sisters Working at Hours for that transportation, for that, for those mammograms, for those food insecurity, for all the things that we do to serve the women in our community. So that's my pitch for you today: is stop what you're doing and donate to Sisters Working at Hours today.
I think that's a fantastic pitch. And I know that it's, when you're listening to a show like this or watching that, it's hard to take in everything unless you just came to the show with a notepad to take notes. But I promise you, there's something that somebody heard today about what you're doing or what you're trying to do that will touch their hearts. And so I just want you to think about that one thing that when you heard it, it just made your ears perk up, or the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And it's like, I really want to do that. That's something that I'm really interested in doing. I think the one thing, Jay, you and Miss Beulah said is that when we talk about communities of color or underserved communities, resources is something that we lack. And, we have to do our best. And that's truly why the Blue Island Robbins Neighborhood Network exists. We don't do direct services, but we have 40 other partners, organizations who do services and provide services to community. And so it makes us successful because we can connect folks in the community to somebody who is going to help them along the way. And so I definitely want you to think about something that you heard this evening that, you know, it really touched you. And I want you to go to the website. I want you to look at some of the things that they're doing. And I want you to, you know, find a way in your heart to donate or to volunteer or to provide. Donate. So we got about 5 minutes left. One thing I wanted you to talk about that we participated in this year, and I believe it was the first annual, it was the run and walk for breast cancer. I want you to talk a little bit about that, and I'm sure that we're going to be doing it again next year, but talk a little bit about that day. And then I'm going to give you and Jay an opportunity just to share with our listeners anything that you would like to share about the organization, about yourself, about the walk, about cancer, or just self-care. And then we'll close out. But definitely let's talk about that. That day we were able to table at that event, and it was a great and wonderful event. So talk about that for us, Ms. Bueller.
So Ken, that goes back again to partnership. So it was basically, to be honest, picking up the phone to call you, and picking up the phone and call Mr. Jackson from Roseland Ceasefire and say, hey, you know what? Because we work so closely with you guys, you know what? We want to do it there. So we had been going to a couple of places to do our walk. But Blue Island made us feel so comfortable.
Wonderful.
So when I reached out to get that support from Blue Island, the park district say, whatever it is that you need, we got you. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, just, you know, asking you shall receive. And we did. So to be able to reach out to you and to be able to reach out to Bob Jackson and to be able to reach out to the park district. And then, like you said, those partners that works with the BIRNN, made it so easy to say, this is what we want to do. And again, that's our funds from those walks goes directly again to transportation. Transportation is so expensive. So just a ride from here to Northwestern will bring you $100 a day.
That's right.
Right. So when you think you got $5,000 or $10,000 in 3 months, that money is gone.
Right.
So, so that walk turned out to be, it was the first one that we had in this area. And what we were trying to do is to make sure it's not going to be the last time that we have it. And without a doubt, Ken, BIRNN is always going to be our partner now. One of the things that we're doing is reaching out to say, hey, you know, you can't get rid of me that easy. And not only that, you know, you have some amazing staff. You know, April Tolbert just come in, her and one of our staff just got together and made this work. So we didn't have to do all of this by ourselves. So one of the things we do, we talk about, I always say Sisters Working It Out, or SWIO. So SWIO is basically the acronym for Sisters Working It Out. Okay. So it's SWIO. Okay. So that's what the acronyms mean when I say SWIO. So you get in the habit of just talking about SWIO or Sisters Working It Out, but that's the acronym for it. So Ken, what we're trying to do this next year, we're already in the process of, you know, coming out of doing the gala and coming out of doing the Day of Beauty and getting right into May. It's going to be that third weekend in May. Right. It's going to be our set day to do this gala. So get your staff ready, Ken. All right. No excuses. And we want your community to actually get those tickets. Again, that price is still going to be $25, something that we all can afford. That's right. But the thing about it is we want you to come out and have some fun with us. So as you know, Jay says she'll be graduating in December with her doctoral degree, but I want everybody to hold Jay to her word. She says she's not going anywhere. All right. Tell us what you're going to do then, Jay.
Just stick here.
All right.
Stick right by you.
Stick beside you. So Jade, in this last minute or so that we have, you know, just tell our listeners anything that you want them to know about, you know, the work that you're doing, you know, your progress towards your doctoral degree, you know, anything else that you want to share. I want to give you this opportunity to share with our listeners this evening.
I just want to take the time out to say that everything happens for a reason. Not saying that I wanted these things to happen to my mom, my grandmother, and my best friend's mom, but it kind of opened my eyes a little bit more. So that's where my passion came from. So I'm doing this for them, and I'm also doing this for women that look like me, women of color. And for the progress that I have right now, I have a lot of responses for my surveys. And so, like I said, I'm working on this website to give to Ms. Bueller so she can also use to give to other people and just for anybody in general. And I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we got a few more minutes. Ms. Bueller, give everybody the contact information. We don't want anybody to have any excuses of not being able to get in contact with you after this show airs. So give us the contact information for Sisters Working It Out just one more time.
I can do that.
Okay.
So by phone, you can reach us at 708-932-9761, or you can reach us by email at info@sistersworkingitout.org. Go to our website at www.sistersworkingitout.org, or you can go to our Facebook page, our Twitter page, we don't have a TikTok page yet. Okay, then you can help us with our TikTok page, our Instagram, and as well as LinkedIn. So we have all the platforms out there that you can actually reach out. So there's no excuse by saying that you don't know how to reach us.
Wonderful. Well, we thank you for joining us this evening for the BIRNN Chronicles. We look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday at 7:00 p.m. We want to thank Jay. We want to thank Ms. Bueller. We want to thank all of the folks who are a part of our neighborhood network for joining us. And community, do not forget Sisters Working It Out. Do not forget how to connect with them. We will talk with you again soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the BIRNN Community Chronicles. Catch us next Tuesday and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central.